So you know what to evaluate, but do you know whom you're evaluating? Now that might seem like an easy question, but it's actually something that I'm asked often, especially when you're used to working with couples or with families where you see more than one individual. So my rule of thumb is always start by asking the attorney, because they know what they're looking for. Now, if that's not possible, the guidelines that I typically follow are that, for example, for a waiver or a provisional waiver, it's pretty much always just the qualifying relative. That's pretty simple. In the case of a U visa, for example, also typically it's just the applicant, the victim, unless the attorney actually wants you to evaluate someone else, such as a child or spouse, for example. Now, when it comes to cancellation of removal, that's a little bit trickier because since in these cases children count as qualifying relatives, sometimes families have more than one child. So the question is, do I bring all 3 children and evaluate them? Or do I just bring only one? Do I bring the child and the parent, etc.? My rule of thumb is to ask if there is one particular person who is struggling already. So for example, if a child is already in counseling or seeing a school counselor, for example, if it's someone that's noticeably depressed or anxious or acting out, then that would probably be the main person that I'd want to evaluate. Now, when it comes to evaluating children, that can get really complex, and that's a whole other issue. I actually have just one entire training just devoted to evaluating children. But when we're talking about cancellation of removal, sometimes the question is, do we bring the person who is in removal proceedings? And the answer to that ultimately is it depends, because every case is different. So when in doubt, your go-to should be the referring attorney. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.